Before the weekend, Manchester United were probably the least likely side to end Liverpool's 100% record. But football happened and Solskjaer's men left everyone around the world stunned. Welcome to the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. My name is Solomon Fowe and Dennis returns to us in the studios. Tell me, you were stunned by that result.
I was stunned, you know, because...
Okay, before you go on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you?
I was maybe 9 over 10.
That's huge.
Because I did expect a whitewash, but, you know, eggs on my face.
You didn't just expect, you predicted.
I predicted and expected a whitewash, but, you know, like you said, football happened.
Well, I like that saying, eggs on your face.
Yeah.
I can picture eggs on your face right now. All right.
So, you know, like we said earlier in the preview show, you look at Manchester United season, you know, it has been defined by a lot of inconsistency and inaccuracies from the team as well. And even before the match, a lot of people were calling for Solskjaer's head, but he gave a good account of himself, you know, through the boys and, you know, stopped Liverpool's 100% record in the season and always at the wheel again. Yeah,
always at the wheel again. Now, do you think this is a perfect springboard for them to launch this phase of their season, you know, doing a whole lot better than they did in the previous games, or it's just a false dawn and Manchester United will always revert to the mean?
I think this is a good platform for the team to build upon. You know, it should be a springboard, you know, to do better things in the season, because like we rightly know that in football, you know, 5 bad results does not define your season. Rather, what defines your season is just that one game you decide to pick up, and then from then on you continue, you know, growing in that strength. So, in the same way, I expect Manchester United, you know, to build on this achievement against Liverpool, because I call it an achievement. You look at the size that Manchester United failed to record a win or even a draw against before this match. And comparing them to Liverpool, you certainly have every cause to applaud this Manchester United side. So for me, I expect that they take this sort of confidence into their next games and, you know, perhaps return to winning ways and give a shot at European places by the end of the season.
Okay, interesting. Now, it would be slightly disingenuous to say that it was Liverpool just giving them everything they needed in that game. So I just want you to walk us through those things that Solskjaer did properly in that particular fixture. You know, we saw them at the races. We saw Rashford play like a man possessed before it was taken off, and it was even after it was taken off that Liverpool got that equalizer through Lallana. And seeing that Liverpool were on the cusp of something that was record equal in getting 18 victories on the trot in the Premier League, what things did Solskjaer do absolutely right for them to get that result?
If you look at the team that played on Sunday and you compare them to the teams that have been playing before now, I think it is not necessarily about the personnel that were on the field. Rather, I think it's a work of, you know, the kind of motivation that he found for these players. And probably in my head right now is how these players now, you know what, this is Manchester United. Liverpool is coming here. They've not got a victory in this place for the past 6 matches, and you don't want to let the team down. You don't want to let yourselves down. You know, wearing the Red Devils jersey. So I think these players took this motivation upon themselves. Like you mentioned, Marcus Rashford. You know, Marcus Rashford, who, you know, played out of his own skin on that day. Because I was watching the match and I was wondering if this is the same Marcus Rashford that almost everyone had been calling for his head, but you know,
just about prior to this game, he had just one goal for the past 6 months.
And then, you know, it was even after the match that I saw a bit of statistics that even made me to realize that Rashford is actually a player for the big games, because I did see a stat that states that Rashford had scored in 6 matches against the top 6 teams in the Premier League. So doing it against Liverpool was not just a flash in the pan. So it means that if Chelsea comes tomorrow, he can do it. If Manchester City comes, I hope he will be able to do it.
Yeah. Also, just to add to what you said, I think something we all know Social is big on the psychological part of the game, motivating these lads, but very little is said about his tactical input into the side. You look at the way that Daniel James and Marcus Rashford were deployed in that particular fixture as two wide forwards. You saw the way it really hurt the Liverpool backline, and it found a way to pin back that Trent Alexander-Arnold and also Andrew Robertson from doing a whole lot of damage in that particular fixture. So I think it needs to get some props for the way he deployed those lads in that particular
fixture. And then most importantly, like I forgot to state, was was in the way he found, he caged the Liverpool midfield trio of Jorginho, Wijnaldum, Fabinho and then Henderson. In that match, so I realized that they were not, in as much as they always tried to go forward, but they were always being pegged back, take the ball backwards and then start building all again. We did not see this old pressing Liverpool side. Rather, the team was instead frustrated, to the extent that Jurgen Klopp had to come out to say that, he feels his team does not, does not deserve just a draw. Probably he was aiming for a win, but he came to Old Trafford, he was stunned, and then got what he did not expect. And I just hope he finds a way to motivate this team back to their winning ways.
Yeah, how much of an importance or an effect do you think the exclusion of Salah had on that game?
Maybe not so much. Maybe not so much from my own perspective, because we've seen big matches after one another that Salah had played and he had little or less input in those games, rather than that 1 minute flash of brilliance that you get from
maybe that was all that Liverpool needed in that game.
It might not be, because if you did look at the stats and then you want to talk about the most effective and efficient players for Liverpool all season long, it's actually not Mo Salah, it's Firmino and Mane, and then they were all both on the pitch. So if Salah included, Salah excluded, I would be saying not a different outcome from the match if Manchester United still puts this same performance into play.
So just before we wrap up, that particular goal that was scored by Marcus Rashford, we saw a foul on Divock Origi, and it also brought to light the role VAR plays in this league. That's the Premier League, because we saw Jurgen Klopp to some extent, maybe in some muted form, remonstrating about his in the post-match press conference. Do you think that goal should have stood? Do you think VAR should have stepped in to cancel that goal?
In all honesty, the goal should have not stood, because if you did look at the events that took place before the actual goal, you realize that it was actually a foul. And then so although VAR is there to point out these dark parts of the game, to bring them to light, but in the same way you also want to excuse VAR in the sense that a man is behind VAR. Do you understand? So looking at that goal itself, the goal had about 5 more touches even before it went into the net. So in that regard, I think it's just one of the lapses that we've seen in in the use of VAR in the Premier League. And you also remember that in the match against Tottenham and Wolves, we saw the same thing as well play out, and we just continue to see VAR, bring out new stuffs every match day, and we just hope that the English referees, look for a perfect way in implementing VAR. Else, I think it will just be doing the league much damage than good.
I think there has to be a whole lot more fine-tuning in the process. There has to be something that clearly stipulates what a clear and obvious error is.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the reasons that VAR couldn't step in to overrule whatever the referee had said concerning that. And you also look at it in a bit of conflict, because the referee probably made the game go on and play on because he knows that there's VAR to overrule whatsoever he had done. So I think there has to be a whole lot more fine-tuning in this process.
Yeah, and then also when you do consider sometimes when you watch certain scenes in matches and there's a whole lot of debate going on from the viewers even to the spectators on the field themselves, but you hardly find in Premier League referees, you know, go to the VAR and check for themselves.
Okay, for an on-field
yeah,
review.
so, you know, I think that's one of the undoings of English referees.
Well, and also, I think the people that pay big bucks to go watch the game on, that's live at the stadium, they're also being underserved because they don't see what's going on. It's just something on the screen saying, telling them if it's a goal or no goal. But we have the privilege, we watch from home, we have the privilege of seeing the whole process, the entire process. But it doesn't work like that for them. Thank you so much for talking to us on the Nutmeg, Dennis.
Always a pleasure.
So that's it for you on the Nutmeg. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you should absolutely subscribe because there's entertaining and informative content all the way for you from Guardian Nigeria. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Solomon Fowe, and this has been the Nutmeg.